your boy T-Lan, and today I'm gonna be talking about why I truly believe testosterone, if you're a man, is the most important thing in your life. If you're not high testosterone, you won't have the drive to do shit. You know, from my experience, this is what I noticed, right? When I was a soy boy, when I was a complete fucking pussy, I didn't have a purpose. I wasn't really chasing my drive, right? The only thing I was really doing was playing basketball, which, kept me alive. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I thought basketball, I was really stupid, but I thought to make the NBA 6, that's the only way to make money, to make big money, right? So that's how I was doing it, right? But, I wasn't a complete soy boy, but I was a bit soy, but I had a little bit of testosterone in me, which made me play basketball every day for 6 hours a day, I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but it makes you take stupid action, which is the first point. Testosterone makes you take action. Now I'm not scared to, have my shirt off or whatever, because, I have the thing I want, right? I'm high test, my hormones on point, I have the drive to do whatever the fuck I want. I was on my bike yesterday, whatever. I was biking to the mall because, bored, right? Want to see some chicks. But I was shirtless while biking. People are looking at me crazy, The sun was out, I'm getting a nice tan, getting vitamin D, right? People look at me crazy, but like, it's like they're looking at me crazy because they couldn't do them themselves, right? When you're high testosterone, you literally do whatever the fuck you want. You don't care if someone looks at you shirtless. I'm shirtless in the back of it every day. To me, it's completely normal. To me, it's like, okay, I feel completely normal. It doesn't bother me, right? But, you take stupid action and you don't really give a fuck about other people's opinions, right? When you don't give a fuck about other people's opinions, you can do whatever the fuck you want, basically, right? People are always scared of, oh, what if my friends think of this about me? Bro, your friends, do you want to be where your friend is in life? You don't, right? When you're high test, you become a bit smarter, right? I know this, there's stupid high test people, but they take action, right? Even the people in jail, right? They take action, they're working out. Prisoners, they have the highest tests. It's because they're not trying to get, bent over and, right? But they have the highest tests, even like the World War II, World War I soldiers. They have high tests and they have more purpose. I believe they're more, this is my opinion, I believe they're more successful than most people today. Because they have purpose. They're living, it's a bit crazy, your life's on the line. But the testosterone's high. They were the boys. They were alive. They felt the emotions. They were scared as shit. They probably, probably didn't want to do it, but they felt alive. Most people are numb. Most people, they're not even alive. That's why testosterone is so important. What's the point of living life? You're just numb and bored, and you live a long life, but you're numb and bored. What's the point? There's nothing important. There's no stories to tell. There's no, conquest. Bro, testosterone helps you conquer the fucking world, right? It also stops you doing real shit. What's his name? Jeffrey Epstein, right? Apparently he had a test of testosterone 60. That's why he did. He had testosterone lower than women. Bro, the women are made to, they're supposed to have low testosterone. I think their hormones like progesterone or some shit. Or I'm not too sure about a woman's side. I'm not a woman. But they had lower testosterone than a woman. And he did some wild shit, we all know, I think everyone knows what he did, but he did some wild ass shit and they didn't get no repercussions because, they're part of the elites, whatever. But, testosterone is really important. It helps you conquer the fucking world. This is my third point. You should be, every day when I wake up, I feel like, okay, how can I make more money? How can I, improve my life or help, improve other people's life? You need to conquer the world. If you don't have a purpose, right, it helps you, that's the fourth thing, it helps you build a purpose. We don't live for a purpose. You don't have a goal in mind, I don't know what it is. Maybe that's, getting 100 kids if that's what you truly want, right? That's a good goal. You're, reproducing, having a bunch of kids. You're gonna make sure your kids are gonna become better than you, right? That's the main goal of your kids. You want your daughters to have more kids than you. Sons are, more richer, more, jacked, more healthier than you. They live a better life. That's the whole point, right? When you see a low testosterone person, you think, pussy. He's walking like a pussy, head down and shit. But when you see a man, he has that shoulder swing, or when it's a chick, right? She's moving her hips. When she's a confident chick, right? She's moving her hips. She's, those models when they walk on those runways, they're confident, And man, like if your hormones are not on point, you're gonna feel like shit. You're not gonna live a good life. And people think it's hard to fix. You need to be taking TRT, all these peptides, but nah, that's a temporary fix. and it's not gonna do you justice. It's not gonna do jack shit for you. You know, in my last video, or in one of my future, whenever I post it, right, there's like these 5 categories. It's sunlight, it's your sleep, it's your diet, your training, and your lifestyle. You know, if you just follow that, you don't really need any fancy shit. You're gonna see some good results. You know, when I started doing that, I saw some good ass results. Testosterone is important. It helps you conquer the world. I think that's the most important thing from this video. Confident. It makes you do whatever the fuck you want. It gives you power. It gives you that energy to, you know, I'm the fucking man. I can do whatever the fuck I want. You know, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, right? It doesn't matter if it's a business. You get that confidence. It's like you almost get rid of all the negative effects, and your mind gets rewired. And you're like, you know, you feel like a man. Most people don't feel like a man. You know, most people, they're scrolling, they're watching TV. Is that you know, they're paying the bills, but the wife is yelling at them, all this shit. You know, and you know they have more shit than kings had back in the day. We have a phone. You know, we have a fridge with all the food in the world. We have the most food today, but yeah, everyone's malnourished. No one's getting vitamins and minerals in, because that food, it's not real food. It's chemicals. It's, you know, packaging. It's fancy ass packaging. But really, it's mass produced in some fucking factory made by the Chinese or Temu or whatever the fuck you can find it, right? So all it really is just, we have all the shit, we have all the things, but we are the most depressed people on the world. It's crazy. We have all the food, we have fridges, we have all the shit, we're more richer. Most people are more richer than kings. Even homeless people, they have fucking iPhones. They have phones and shit, right? I have a Samsung, right? And we're richer than kings. We could order food on our phone. We can watch whatever the fuck we want on our phone. You can make money on your phone. Trade crypto. You can, you know, transfer money from boom to boom. Make phone calls. You can do so much shit on a phone, bro. Like, you know, it's crazy, but we are the most low testosterone. And you know, if you want to improve your testosterone, message me on IG. I got you. Here's a QR code. You know what I'm saying? But it's your boy T Lad. This is why I believe testosterone is important. It helps you conquer the world. Do what the fuck you want. Be yourself, you know, be a man. And that's basically it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's your boy T Lad. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.